Testing, there we go. Thank you all for being patient with me there for a second. Had a little audio issue. Looks like we got it all working now. Hopefully everybody can hear me just fine. In fact, it looks like maybe I need to turn it down a little bit, so I'll do that. Thank you all for joining us here this morning. My name is Steve Murray. I'm with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. You all know that. You can see our name on the screen ahead of you, just before you right now, which is 35 years now in business. I've been with the firm myself since '94. Currently the president of the firm. Every Tuesday and some Fridays, Dave Pimper and I do webinars that are kind of built around more of a sales idea, sales approach, way to get you in front of consumers or way to make you more valuable to consumers. And today we're going to talk about Social Security, which is a kind of a regular topic of ours because it's fairly popular, as you can imagine. Great way to get in front of people. So we're going to talk in detail about that. Dave has got some great information he's going to make available to us, as well as giving us some ideas on how we can get in front of more prospects. So buckle up and let's look forward to a great webinar today. You may have a poll or something that'll pop up if that is the case. It's a simple yes and no, generally speaking, answer. Appreciate your response to that. If you have any questions, type them in and we'll try and get them answered during the course of the event. I'll send up a chat message from time to time with some links to like a couple of websites or our phone number or my email too as well. So thank you again all for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get rolling. I'm going to buzz through some of the stuff because as I look at our list of attendees, it looks like maybe a little over 2/3 of your regular folks and regularly do business with us, so you're well aware of these programs. But for those of you that aren't, I want to make sure you're aware of our new business builders. For folks that are appointed with us and do business within their first 180 days are eligible for these, and you can see them before you on the screen. It kind of runs the gamut, everything from an iPad all the way up to getting yourself on the radio for a month or two. But I will say that if, as you're looking at those, you're thinking, hey, I've already got something that's working, and I would just like IAMS to kind of, donate to that, help me out with that expense at a hyper level, which is kind of what we do during your first 180 days. We're glad to do that as well. So keep that in mind. A couple things that we do on a regular basis is pay out RPM dollars and marketing reimbursement. These are two great programs that result in us sending out a lot of cash to our producers, which we love to do. One is based on the business that you do with us, and one is based on referrals. They both are pretty solid rewards. The referral one seems to be the one that gets passed over the most, and I don't think folks understand how that can build up to be pretty good dollars. So I'm going to run through that really quickly. Simple program. You refer somebody to us. That's all you have to do. Give us a name, give us a number. We'll call them. We'll get them appointed. If they do get appointed with us, we'll send you a check for $50. That's no big deal. But the checks that go out on a quarterly basis, and now for some of our producers go out on a monthly basis, that's kind of when the money starts getting quite large for you, because it's basically a 20 basis points override on their business. And so nothing comes out of their pocket. We strictly pay that as a bonus. But if they do a $100,000 case, we're going to send you a check for $200. If they do $1 million case, we're going to send you a check. I mean, you can do the math as easy as I can. So really adds up to some pretty good dollars over time. And when you start sending those out on a monthly or quarterly basis, and there's a lot of ways we can spend money to meet new producers and build good relationships and start good relationships. None of them for us has worked as well as your referrals. So thank you all for your referrals over the years. We really do appreciate them. Let's talk for a second about our back office, because it's one of the main reasons we get a lot of referrals. Our service is second to none, and it doesn't usually help me a lot to tell people that. You really got to feel it, and I've had guys that have been with us for 6 or 8 months and said, hey, I'm going to go over here and try and do some business, then come back to us. And, if I ask them, almost always it's because of the service. I'd like to say it's because of, our stellar wit and personality and charisma, but usually it's the service that brings folks back. So I don't want to dwell on that a long time, but I think you'll find when you do business with them, especially if you're new to us and you haven't felt the difference, I think you'll find our service to be excellent. For those of you that don't do EAPS, I would just say give them a shot right now. I know now more than ever, it's kind of makes your life easier, makes your client's life easier. Obviously, a real social distancing tool, and sometimes you have to use it. And if that's the case, and you need to get an EAP out to somebody, what you'll find is it's much easier. It gives you a kind of a different level of professionalism when you use the EAP system with your client. They just get an email that says, hey, this is the information. If you agree to it, click here, click here, click here, and boom, that application gets done and submitted. You can't miss any blanks. You always have the right paperwork. It's really a handy thing that we've seen a great usage of, a great increase in usage of, and a lot of satisfaction with. The key is with our Firelight sign-on, every company, or not every, almost every company that we have on the annuity side uses Firelight, and we have a single sign-on on our platform on our website, so you can go in and just on our website and access all of those apps for all of those various carriers. So it really makes your life a lot easier. And what's another thing that I've found that guys kind of like is that, let's say you're writing an app on one client with Equitrust, write another one with someone else with Athene, or the same client with Athene. You can basically do a cut and paste of that information from app to app, and then all you have to do is send it to your client for signature. So it makes your life a lot easier, avoids a lot of mistakes, avoids a lot of paperwork. So if you haven't signed on for the single sign-on, give your team here a call at 800-255-5055. It will literally take 3 minutes to get you signed up and registered to do those apps. We got a great advertising team here for you. Call your sales director and say, hey, what do they do? What you need to remember about our advertising folks in the creative team is, and that's how I want you to really think of it as kind of your personal advertising team more than anything else, is they do work. That's all that they do. So they're like a low-cost advertising firm that wants to do work for you on a pro bono or as cheap as possible basis, and they only work with people that are in your business. So they've got great ideas, a lot of stuff prepackaged for you, a lot of really inexpensive ways that you can build your reputation and kind of increase your credibility. So ask your sales director to walk you through some of the things that they can do there. A great website. That's where you find Firelight on there. We've got our quoting tools on the annuity side, life side. We've got a great sales library there as well. Go under support and look at the IAMS sales library. You'd be amazed at all the information that's in there. If you haven't looked at our website lately, you want to get back in there and take a peek. Retirement Analyzer is a great tool, and if you're using one like it, that's great. I think you probably know the benefits of it. There are a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of great ones out there, but we like the Retirement Analyzer. We like it to the level that for our producers, we pay the expense for it. So if you're not using one and you want to try one, or you're using one, not happy with it, or you're using one and it's too expensive for you, give Marcus a call in our office. Say, hey, Marcus, give me a look at that, and he'll give you a link so that you can spend some time in there, maybe do one on yourself or do it on your favorite client, pull some information out of your file, just fill it in so you can see what it looks like. And I think what you'll find, whether you're helping them plan the Social Security benefit or helping them understand, their need for long-term care, helping them understand that maybe they're over-risked in their portfolio, that program does it all, and it does it all in a really nice graphic, color-filled presentation that really gives it a professional look that they're going to want you to update. So that now you've got a client that's going to be coming back to you and saying, oh, I got this money over here. So it kind of helps build that referral for you, helps build that repeat business for you as well. And we make that available to you at no cost. If you give Marcus a call, he'll get you set up. IAMS Wealth, so we all know, the Department of Labor, another rule, probably will pass, and it's probably going to mean that it's going to be less stringent than what we saw before, 4 or 4 years ago, I guess now 4 years ago, but it's still going to make it somewhat helpful for you if you have that wealth management in your back pocket. So for those of you that are considering it, now is a good time to do that. If you want to get a hold of the team there, just give us a call, 800-255-5055, and just say, hey, put me in touch. You can see before you, if you look at why you'd want to consider that. Our guys, to a man, that most of the folks that do wealth management with us are the bigger part, it might not be most anymore, but initially what we did is we helped a lot of our guys on the insurance side, transition out and begin to offer that as a part of their business. And so right now I just recently looked at our most recent convention qualification of our top 25 people. About 17 of them are either already on IAMS Wealth Management. A couple of them additionally are with another wealth management firm, and we've got 2 or 3 of them that are currently getting studied up to take their 65. Everyone will tell you the same thing. It's just a great way to expand the business that you can do with your present clientele, and to expand the number of clients that you can have in your book of business, because it's a whole other pipeline of expertise. So if that's of interest to you, in fact, I'm going to do this really quick. I'm just going to put a poll up. There we go. If you want to talk to the people over there, have some interest, maybe just want to kind of get a feel for what they do, how they do it, and get an overview of their processes or whatever, put yes on that, and that call will take about 10 minutes, and hopefully you'll get some value out of that either way. If you're not sure, here's some reasons. If you want to get into the wealth management business, they're really good at helping people through the process of taking the test and getting set up. So that's one thing. But if you're already in the wealth management business, maybe your fees are too high at your current RIA, your payout's too low. One thing that always strikes people about the IAMS wealth payout is it doesn't go through a grid. So their payouts is just a skosh to the advisor, just a skosh over 1% in most cases, and it does not go through a grid. So it's not like you're getting 60% or 50% or 70 or even 80 or 90% of that number. You're actually getting that little over 1% of that fee. So, and I know from talking to folks that have come over to us, what we provide them for the fees that we charge, they think it's the greatest deal ever. I don't have a great feel, not having experience with other RIAs, but I get great feedback from our guys that join us that the fees are low and what they get for their fees is very high. So that's something that might be of interest to you. Certainly let us know. And it looks like just a couple of you haven't voted. So I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out because I do want to get moving on here. There we go. And if you want to talk about that later, just give us a call, 800-255-5055. So we're going to talk now with Dave Pimper while I'm switching over to a different slide presentation. There we go. I'm going to give you a little background on Dave. So Dave has been with us now for about 12, 13 years. And in that time, almost from the get-go, he was a top producer with us. And we talked a little bit at our first convention that he joined us on. We were sitting I can remember it like yesterday, on the back of a boat, heading up in the inside passage towards Alaska. And he was smoking a cigar, which I really hate the smell of cigars. No, Dave, I'm just kidding. But he was telling me a little bit about his business and what he does, and he mentioned he does some practice coaching. I said, hey, maybe you could help us. You could help some of our guys. And since then, it's been a lot of great things have happened, from practice management coaching to Social Security claiming coaching to Social Security claiming seminars coaching to retirement boss radio coaching. A lot of great benefits, I think, have come to our producer group via that relationship with Dave. So we're really pleased to have that. And the reason I think it's worked out so well is that Dave is a great combination of somebody that regularly produces and does business, and at the same time is great at the kind of the coaching aspects. Everybody can't do both, and Dave is really good at both of those. It's helped a lot of our guys be much more productive and opened up some new pipelines of prospecting and some new pipelines of education that have really helped them quite a bit. So he's been in the business since the early 80s, done 550 or more seminars. He's been doing radio for about 20, 22, 23 plus years now. So great experience on a lot of different fronts, and been a regular top producer. I think if I'm you, that's one of the things that I would be most wanting to know. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the coach, Mr. Dave Pimper, president of Lazarus Coaching.
I appreciate it, Steve. Hey, thanks for the nice introduction. I enjoy what I do. I mean, I've been a financial advisor for almost 40 years now, and I will say that there is hardly a day ever that goes by that I don't say, boy, am I glad that I'm in this business, and I really enjoy it. And coaching, I've coached for over 30 years. For 10 years, I did it with independent representatives within the investment business. And then when I met IAMS with Steve Murray and started doing business about 14, 15 years ago, it got brought up in conversation. He's right. It's on the Lido deck, Steve, is where we were, or where I was, and smoking and just enjoying a production cruise from IAMS, which was in Alaska. And I was just mentioning that how I was currently coaching and also in production, and that's how he said, could you do it with our agents? And I said, it's a little bit different with insurance, but sales is sales. And whether you're coaching Social Security or you're coaching the sales process or seminar marketing, radio host marketing, I mean, it's virtually the same because it's all the same format. And so today, I want to talk about a subject, and we've been pounding this home a lot because Social Security, it's a complicated subject. It's a complicated subject. It's a subject that most advisors, by far, 90% of advisors don't really understand really the ins and outs of Social Security. They might know a little bit. They know 1 plus 1 is 2 and 2 plus 2 is 4, but once they get above that, boy, this gets a little bit tougher. And I'll tell you what happens if you know the answers to claiming Social Security for your prospects and your clients. I will tell you right now, you have a better chance of working with their money. It's impressive to that client. Does it take a little time to learn Social Security? It does. But having someone like myself, and I'm not pounding my chest, but I am patting my back, I can help you learn Social Security. And there's actually 3 ways to do that. I can teach you Social Security through 2 marketing programs, one seminar marketing, one radio marketing program, or I can do it a la carte, where you just pay for me coaching you up on Social Security. But I'll tell you right now, the one thing that puts IAMS, I think it separates them from many other FMOs, field marketing organizations, and there's a lot of them, like 400 of them, and you hear about the big ones all the time. IAMS truly does understand from their private ownership, so it's not owned by a big conglomerate. But what happens is those owners, from the original owner Charles Hiring, who's been there and started, 1986. So that's been going on almost 35 years ago. And Steve, who is hosting this with me, has almost 25 years. All he's ever done. Steve, couldn't you find another job?
I was unhireable, Dave. The only people that would hire me.
Not many guys come right out of college, and he worked for an FMO, not IAMS, and then shortly after he had a few years under his belt, he came in and was quickly advanced up to a manager and then to an owner. And so pretty cool, but they're good to work with. They really understand that production, the field production, that's what makes everything work. And so they try to do everything you can. Just like the webinar today, we're trying to help your production. So you might say to yourself, well, with Social Security, how I'm not getting paid for Social Security. You don't, but knowing Social Security, especially Social Security seminars, Social Security Retirement Boss Radio, knowing that Social Security. I just wrote 2 pieces of business, and both of those, actually one was a repeat piece of business from 6-7 years ago. I went back and saw where I got the lead, Social Security website. Why did the person come on in on this last 125,000 that I did? Retirement Boss Radio. He had a Social Security question. Ends up doing business with me. So let's go in. We've got a good sum of folks that are with us today on a Friday, so that's a good deal. And we'll get through here. Get a load of this. Some Sarah Bryan from CNBC. This comes word for word right from the excerpt from the article. Most retirees get little advisor help on Social Security. I'm going to read this because it's that important. A majority of older Americans get no professional advice about a key part of their retirement planning, Social Security, even if they work with a financial advisor, a recent study concluded. Interesting. So we're going to take a test. We're going to take a test here, and this test is how much you know about Social Security. All right? So don't cheat on this test. It's from Simply Wise. And here are the questions that we're going to go in and ask. There's 5 questions. So here's the first one. To maximize your monthly Social Security checks, at what age must you claim benefits? To maximize your monthly Social Security checks, at what age must you claim benefits? Now, come on, do this with me. Do this test with me. Okay, everybody got their answer done? Here it is. If you said full retirement age, you're wrong. That's your full retirement. We want to maximize your retirement. How do we do that? We wait to the age of 70. It doesn't grow any much. You just lose the benefit if you don't take it 70. That's correct. So everybody takes it 70. That's how you maximize your benefits. Question 2, what's the earliest age you can receive survivor's benefits if you're not disabled? What's the earliest age you can receive survivor's benefits if you're not disabled? Write the answer down. Here we go. 60. You know what? Only 9% of the people on the Simply Wise test knew that survivor's benefits could be claimed as early as 60. Most said 62. Very interesting. Question 3 of 5. Does your spouse need to receive benefits for you to qualify for a spousal benefit? Does your spouse need to receive benefits for you to claim for spousal benefits? Okay, here we go. Yep, she or he does. Remember, it's always gender neutral. Okay, only 20% of the people knew that. Yeah, they have to claim to get the benefit. Question 4, can divorced spouses receive spousal benefits? Can divorced spouses receive spousal benefits? It's a yes or no answer. Here we go. Yes, they can. Now, this is the tough part of this question. It's if 4 stipulations are met with that divorce. And if you get 2 of them right, I'm going to give the question to you. So you had to answer yes, and now you got to get. So what are 2 of the 4 stipulations that have to be met concerning that divorced spouse? 2 of them, right? The 2 of them, at least 2 of the 4 down. Okay, let's see what you wrote down. First of all, when we look at this, here we go. What are the 4 stipulations to get a divorce spouse benefit? You have to meet all those 4, but just to pass this test, you just got to get 2 of them right. Your marriage at least lasted for 10 years or longer. You're currently unmarried, makes no difference on the spouse. Your ex is at least 62. The divorce lasted at least 2 years, is at least 2 years in divorce or longer. If you got all 4 of those, then you can go in and use your ex just as if you're married to them, because, excuse me, married folks have many more options than non-married and singles. So if you got 2 of those 4 and you guess yes, congratulations, you got that answer right. And here we go again. Another one. This one's on survivor benefits, because we're all going to die, aren't we? Yep. Are you eligible for survivor's benefits if you're divorced? Are you eligible for survivor's benefits if you're divorced? Yes or no? Here we go. Yep, you are. You got to mark yes. And if you did mark yes and you don't get 2 of the 4 stipulations, then you weren't listening very you can't listen observantly, can you? I think that you can't listen observantly, but you should be able to. Yep. What are 2 of the 4? Remember those? Yeah. Here they are. You're currently unmarried, the person claiming it. Your divorce lasted at least 10 years or longer. Your ex is at least 62. And the 4th one, it had to be 2 years or longer for your divorce. If that's the case, then you can use the survivor benefit. Pretty cool. This came from Janet Heron from USA Today. This is strong. This came about a year and a half ago on July 1st of 2019. Doing this one thing with your Social Security can mean losing $100,000 in retirement. How much does claiming Social Security at the wrong time cost you? Listen closely. Listen up. Retirees will lose an average of $111,000 in income per household over their lifetime. Why? Because they took Social Security benefits at the wrong time. My, oh my. Only 4% of retirees took Social Security at the financially optimal age. Isn't that something? Only 4%. They lose over $111,000 not taking at the right time. Don't let that happen to you. And that's what I tell people in the seminars. Those are actually seminar slides. So let's do a little kind of a stroll down memory lane. Hey, if you got any questions, just type them on in. I'm going to answer them at the end. We got about maybe 15 more minutes here, so this is going to take. It's not a long webinar, but the Social Security Act was put into place in August in 1935 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, First check 5 years later to Ida Mae Fuller. Age 65. So when it started, there was only one age you could take Social Security, and that was age 65. Well, now you can take from 62 to 70. But if you take earlier than full retirement age, it's reduced. If you wait later, it's increased. But think about then, 65. So you know what? In 1935, the average human being in America lived to the age of 62. Well, what a great deal for the government. They don't have to pay out to 65, and the average person dies at 62. I like those actuarial odds, don't you? But that was changed in actually for early benefits was 1961, and they were reduced to 62. You could take early but reduced, and shortly after you could wait longer, and they were increased. Cost of living allowance or inflation, which in 2021 will be 1.3%. This year, 2020, it's 1.6%. Last year it was 2.8%. The year before, 2%. Over 10 years, 1.9%. Since its inception of 1975, about 3.5%. So we're in a low interest rate and inflation rate environment. But there's only been 3 years there hasn't been a cost of living increase. We thought it would happen, it could happen this year with the pandemic, but it did not because of the strong comeback of the market and the economy. But 2010, 11, and 2016 are the only 3 years that there was not a Social Security increase from cost of living allowance COLA. Was there taxation before 1983? No, there was not. But that was the first taxation because the Social Security Trust Fund was running out of money, as it is now going to be in the next 10, 12, 13 years. But Ronald Reagan came in. Tim O'Neill was the speaker of the across the aisle from him. Yeah, and they shook hands. As it's tough for politicians to do now, but they started taxing Social Security above certain tax brackets off of provisional income, it's called, kind of an adjusted gross income, only half of your Social Securities and introduced there. But 83 was the first taxation up to 50% of income, and then Bill Clinton said if that was pretty good, I'll tax it up to 85%. There's still 50% that is never taxed, even if you're Warren Buffett is not taxed. And the Bipartisan Budget Act was the last time that there really was any kind of major Social Security changes. With file and suspend was phased out in 6 months in 2015, and restricted application, it's still going as long as you were born for the person claiming it is before January the 2nd of 1954. Okay? How important is Social Security? Very. Basically, 60% of all retirees count their Social Security benefit as a major source of income. Probably the most major source of income. 3 ages. I mean, if you know this, you know more than half of the people in the U.S. There's 3 ages or dates that are important to Social Security claiming. The most important one is your full retirement date. If you're born from 1943 to 1954, your full retirement age is 66. Then it stair steps each year after that. Like I was born in 1955. Okay? My full retirement age is 66 years and 2 months. If I was born next year, 56 is 4 months. Next year, 57, 6 months. If you're born 1960 or later, the latest your full retirement age can be right now, according to the Social Security rules and regulations, is age 67. A newborn born today is 67. You get a full benefit at full retirement age, a full benefit. If you take earlier, and it's done month to month to month, your benefit is reduced. And there's goods and bads of that. It's bad that it gets reduced, but it's good that you can take it now. If you wait later, it gets increased, a guaranteed increase of 8% per year, a guaranteed increase of 0.2% a month, up to the age of 70. You can take it any day, any month, up to the age of 70, and you're going to get that guaranteed increase. And COLAs are on top of all of that. Pretty cool thing. What's the good thing? Hey, it's gaining in value. What's the bad thing? You're not getting any benefit now. How about if you wait to 70 and you die at 71? You'll think, oh my gosh, why didn't I take earlier? Okay? That's the basics of Social Security. That's the basics of Social Security. There we go. Can have a big value, your benefit, you darn right. But you got to claim at your right time. And I make a big thing about this when I'm in my workshops, not the right time or not a right time, but at the right time. That's very, very important. Okay? Again, any questions, certainly type them on in. Social Security Trust Fund, if I asked you if it was ran a deficit or a surplus, most people would say probably a deficit last year. It didn't. It ran a surplus off a little over $1 trillion worth of income coming in. There was about $3 billion of surplus. Where does Social Security get their money? From payroll taxes. You pay 6.2%. Look at your pay stub sometime. And your employer, or if you're self-employed, you, again, pay 6.2%. There's 12.4%. Per 100,000, there's $12,400 that goes in and pays into the Social Security Trust Fund. There's a balance right now in that trust fund of just under $2.9 trillion. May run a deficit this year. I think it will. If not, it'll be next year. And then with all the baby boomers, the 12,000 baby boomers a day that are going to retire here for the next 7 years till 2028, there's going to be approximately 12,000 people turning 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. We're right in the middle of the baby boomer trend. Lots of people are going to be taking that trust fund will go down to nothing. And lots of times people think of that trust fund. When they say Social Security is going bankrupt, they're talking about the trust fund. Social Security can't go bankrupt. It's funded, 89% is funded by payroll taxes, the 6.2% on both the employer and the employee. Well, where's the other 11%? Yeah, there's about half of that is from taxation, and about half of that is from interest on the government bonds that are purchased or the IOUs that have replaced the government bonds from the United States government. That's where it comes from. That's where the income comes from. So there are ways to firm it up before that 2032, 33, 34 year comes that the trust fund will be insolvent. Yes, there is. What I would do is I would just raise full retirement age. Instead of 67 being the latest, I'd raise it to 70. But there probably will be some taxation also. I mean, if you lean politically to the Democrat side, you're more of a taxation person for Social Security firming it up. If you're from a Republican side, it's probably going to be more of age related. There'll probably be some compromise amongst the both of those, I would guess. Here's the facts. Is the Social Security Trust Fund a pay-as-you-go system? Yes, it is, through payroll taxes mostly. Does the United States government borrow from the trust fund? They do. They borrow from those special issue government bonds. Almost all of them are gone now, and they've issued IOUs. IOU because I took the bonds out. A lot of people think it's a Ponzi scheme. It's not. Social Security has never missed a payment, or if they have, they've always made that payment up. So it's been an unbelievable government program. I'm not for all government programs. A lot of them are very wasteful, big. They're unencumbered because it's the taxation power of the government. There's wasteful, but not Social Security. Get a load of this. You might agree that if you've ever been to the Social Security office, but only 0.7% of all of 1% is spent for expenses for Social Security. Well over 99% goes out to the recipients. Yep. And because nothing hard to back Social Security like gold or bonds or silver, platinum, any hard asset, but the IOU of the government is the same. That full faith and credit backing is the same full faith and credit backing that you get with your dollar bill in your pocket. So that dollar bill's safe, then Social Security is safe. I have no concern about it whatsoever. All right. So here's how you figure out your benefit. You need 40 quarters of coverage. And by the way, it's not just Social Security, but you need 40 quarters of coverage also to get traditional Medicare A and B. Otherwise, you have to pay for it. Well, B you're going to pay for already, but A you don't, but you'd have to pay to get A. Yeah. But 40 quarters of coverage that go in. And there's also 1.45% above that 6.2 that goes in for Medicare, okay? And but 40 quarters, so each quarter is $1,410. That's for the year of 2020. Okay, you need 4 quarters, which is $5,640. If you make that much in a year, you get four. You can't make any more than 4 quarters of credit in 1 year. You can't make 5 quarters of credit, 6, 7, get 4. And the more you make, the bigger it is. Social Security, you only pay Social Security payroll taxes up this year to $143,700. Only $137,700. Next year it's going up a little over $143,000. But this year, because it's going up with inflation, above inflation really. But this year's $137,700. Above that, you don't pay for Social Security. You don't pay 6.2. Either does your employer. The bigger your money is, though, in a year's time of earnings, up to that amount, the bigger those quarterly credits are. And there's a complicated. I did it one time. My longhand would never do it again. It's all done by software now, but it's called AIM, AIME, and that's how you figure out your actual benefit. And then, it's the earnings over your working career, and they take your 35 highest inflation-adjusted years, and that's how you get a benefit. This year, if you maxed out every single year, with a high income earner every single year for 35 years, you can make up to $3,011 at full retirement age, at age 66. Yep. If you let that $3,011 grow at a cost of living of a couple percent and guaranteed 8% delayed retirement credits, which you get from full retirement age each year up to age 70, that $3,011 will go probably to $4,100 or $4,200. What a big deal if you would delay. Right there is, remember I talked about full retirement age? Hey, don't you love that dog? A long-haired dachshund, a 1-year birthday party, has a bone tie on. Bad, yeah. Yeah, if you take early. Full retirement age is 66, you take it 62, you get a 25% discount on your benefit. If you have a $1,000 benefit at full retirement age, you now get a $750. If your full retirement age is 67, you take it 62, get a $1,000 benefit. Yeah, now your benefit is $700. Get it now, but it's discounted. If you wait longer, it's like if your full retirement age is 66. If you wait 4 years, it's guaranteed to grow 32%. Think if you put another, 8 to 10% cost of living, which compounds. The delayed retirement credits of 8% don't compound. That's just simple each year, but cost of living does. All of a sudden, you can have a 40, 42, 43% increase guaranteed by cost of living and with the delayed retirement credits. Big deal. Now I'm going to go through those much quicker than I would if we were coaching together. And I'll talk about the 3 ways that you can get Social Security. 2 are within the marketing system and paid for by IAMS, and then 1 is a la carte that you pay me to coach you up on Social Security alone if you don't want the marketing system. But I'll tell you, if you don't know Social Security, you got to ask yourself, if you don't work with pre-retireds and retireds, it probably isn't a big deal. But if you do, then this is the place to get it. So listen up. PIA stands for primary insurance amount. Dave's PIA is $2,400 and Amy's at 66 is $1,000. Dave takes his benefit, and Amy takes her benefit. Say they're at full retirement age. Well, Dave gets $2,400. Amy has the option. She can take all of hers or half of her spouse, gender neutral, but half of her spouse, whichever is more. Well, half of Dave's is more than $1,000. So how Social Security looks at this, they look at it as 2 parts. $1,000 is the individual benefit, and $200 is the spousal top-up benefit. She'd get $1,200, done automatically by Social Security. What happens if Dave doesn't take his? Waits to 70, and Amy takes his 66. Amy gets $1,000. She can't take half a Dave's because remember that was one of our test questions. They have to start. Dave has to start his Social Security for her to get the top-up. That's spousal benefits done automatically. Okay. Let's talk about divorce spouse benefits. Remember the four stipulations that need to be met? I call them the triple play plus one. Marriage had to last at least 10 years or longer. You're currently unmarried. Your ex is at least 62. The divorce has been 2 years or longer in duration. If that is the case, you can use your spouse just as if you're married to them. One of the very few times, very liberal in its definition, both can use each other. You can dip into each other for divorce spouse benefits if you meet those four stipulations. Pretty cool. Why is that a benefit? Married couples have many more benefits and alternative Social Security claiming options than a single person, i.e. single. How about survivor benefits? My wife always says no one's ever going to get out of here alive. She's right. Who normally dies first? The guy does, 75, 80% of the time. Dave's benefits $2,000 and he dies. Amy's benefits $1,200 when he dies. What can happen here is that Amy can either keep all of her benefit, the $1,200, or she can jump up to Dave's, which is $2,000. Well, what's she going to do? Jump up to Dave's. Remember this, though, she has to ask for it. It's not done automatically. She has to go to the Social Security office or do it online now somehow through scanning or mailing. But they want to make sure that they were married, so they need a marriage certificate. They want to make sure that the husband has died. They need a death certificate, and they need the Social Security number off of the deceased. If those three things are in good order, then they will get the benefit. If you don't ask for it, you don't get it. I always say it's biblical. If you don't ask, you don't receive. Spousal benefits differs. That's done automatically. But you know what? The one before we were talking about divorce benefit, that also has to be asked for. They want a marriage certificate, a divorce decree, and a Social Security number. Yep. So be ready. That's what you need to give to the person at Social Security office or online. That when you do it. Coordinating spousal benefits. This gets tricky. Called Bipartisan Budget Act is still around. It's called restricted application. It's a twin sibling of file and suspend. You have to be at least born before January 2nd of 1954, so like 66 years and 11 months. Let's say Dave and Amy are both 66. Dave's PI is 24, Amy's is 1,000. Amy wants to take her benefit. Well, she cannot go in and get half a Dave's because Dave isn't taking, right? But he does something, it's a loophole, that's why they're closing it. But he does something called restricted application with his 2,400. He starts it and stops it. In the eyes of Social Security, he started it. That allows him to get a spousal benefit. He can reach out and get half of Amy's 1,500. That's free money, that $500. Then his grows the 8% until he turns it on at full retirement age. I mean, there's a lot of spinning plates here. But you know what? That's pretty cool. So then when he turns 70, he can't take spousal benefits anymore because now he takes his benefit. But now Amy can go and get a $200 top up because at 66 his benefit was 12. She would have got 1,200. Well now, so she loses the 500 but gets back 200. Wild. Less than 1% of the people that this could help in the United States that could claim it because they have the stipulations met, use it. Less than 1%. You don't hear it from Social Security office. No. You hear from people like us. What can the Social Security do and can't do? They can't give you advice. Do you believe that? They can't give you advice. They can't scenario plan like restricted application. They can give your highest benefit now. In fact, I went to their manual, their POMS manual, Program Operational Manual Systems. Look at number D. This is what for Social Security employees. Provide enough information so that claimants can make informed choices, but do not give advice. Who gives advice? We do. We give advice. Okay? Now, it says consider all your income streams before you claim Social Security. Yeah, it's not a standalone income stream. It's not. How it conduits and how it complements the other four income streams. I consider Social Security as the most flexible of all income streams. claiming at your right time, not the or a right time. It's paramount. And the survivor benefit, yeah, I mean, my wife took early, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to let mine grow, even if I die in my 70s, which the life I've led, maybe I will. But my wife will get my full survivor benefit. Okay. Here's the 5 pillars of income: working wages, pensions, income producing assets like 401ks, IRAs, Roth, brokerage accounts, cash values, real estate, etc. RMDs on traditional, which was waived this year because of the CARES Act, but we'll start next year, and then Social Security, which I think is the most flexible. There's so much to consider when to claim. I mean, your own benefits, spousal, divorce, survivor. I mean, there's a lot to consider. But there's I'll tell you something. And I went through it pretty fast today. We go through it much slower when we coach, but seminar marketing and retirement boss radio, which has been, I mean, one of the business yesterday came in from that, 125,000. And actually, seminar I had about 200,000 come in on Monday, and that was from an existing client, but it came from Social Security seminar marketing. But I'll coach you up. If you buy the system, we'll coach you up. Or you can just do it a la carte, not have any marketing with that, and just pay $800. You get 4 coaching sessions and all my attachments, and then in any of those, you get the full availability to me to ask questions anytime you want. I just had a guy from Retirement Boss Radio up in the New York area, and he had a question on Social Security, and we got that answered for him today. There's an old saying that says, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Tomorrow never comes. I've never had anybody come to me and say, Dave, I'll tell you what, I cannot believe how much money I've made from procrastinating. I can't believe how my business has just skyrocketed through production from procrastinating. If you saw something today that you think could help you, this is really geared around Social Security, learning Social Security. But if you aren't in front of prospects every single day right now, or you're not Zooming with them or on the phone with them, you need to mark yes. The last virtual seminar I did on Social Security, I got 21 appointments. I'm almost embarrassed to say that. If I can get 10 or more, I'm happy as a lark. And did it take us some trial and error to learn that? Yeah. I've done over 530 workshops, but only 4 of them have been virtual. And the first 3 were very lackluster. But this last one, we got it figured out. Yeah, absolutely. That system's available. Retirement Boss Radio. Being your own radio host. I'm averaging 3 to 4 appointments every single week from radio. Those are face-to-face appointments in Nebraska. Maybe they're Zoom in your neck of the woods, but they're important. They're important. And then just learning Social Security. So if you mark yes, yeah, then Lisa or one of, probably Lisa will, might be Nicole, but they'll call and they'll line up a good time for me in our office, myself, to get together on the phone for 15, 20, 25 minutes just to see if this could help your practice. But don't let this pandemic get you down. I'll tell you what, there's less people marketing now. For the ones of us that are, there's more availability for success. I want to tell you. And I'm 65 years old, and I truly feel like I'm in my 20s and 30s again. This is a heyday because everyone's holed up and they're not marketing. Well, I am. And there's a lot of people at IAMS that are and doing very, very well. If not better, I got a better year going this year than I do last year from production. So, Steve, I'm going to turn it on over to you as people hopefully are marking yes on this so we can give them a call and line up the times. And is there any questions or comments that we need to cover before we finish today?
Well, I got to tell you, Dave, you had a lot of people that were answering the questions, and pretty good group in terms of, it looks like most of the answers were right. So maybe these guys don't need your Social Security claiming training.
Well, you know what? Yeah, as long as they got enough appointments coming in, that's great.
I think it is incredible when we look back over the past. How long have we been doing Social Security training and seminars now? 6, 7 years? Or is my time?
Probably 8 or 9 years even. Yeah, even 8 or 9 years. Yeah.
and just when we've seen the growth of folks that are meeting clientele with that particular knowledge base, you just can't. There's no substitute. We've never had anything that was more valuable, I don't think, to our advisors than the Social Security, understanding Social Security, the training, and of course you got to couple that with ways to get in front of people and display your expertise. And radio been a tremendous success lately. I know your last digital workshop was a real eye opener in terms of the value that was able to get brought to so many people and the number of people that were interested in appointments. I mean, how many people did you have total that joined you for the webinar?
Yeah, we
do you
had
remember?
30.
And you
And so
ended up with 21 appointments?
Yes, yeah, 30 and had 21 appointments. I mean, isn't that wild? Now, there's some things we did that for calling people back and everyone. I mean, there's a lot of things that we did for follow up. But I'll tell you what, anything over 10 is good. And you know this, Steve. We talked about it yesterday. If we can get 25 people on the actual, the actual
broadcast,
yeah, we're cooking. We're cooking. We can get a good amount of appointments. And the amazing thing about that, to 21 appointments, there was like 16 or 17 of those were face to face. I only had one appointment drop out of 21. I had 20 appointments. That's
a lot of interest. And you think that was built mostly on interest in Social Security? Because I know a lot of what you talked about in the digital workshop had to do with Social Security claiming and how to best claim your Social Security. But and have you had those 21 appointments by now, the first ones?
I've had them all. Yeah, I've
had them all.
Yep.
Good.
Had them all, and most of those have gone, and the ones that have gone to second, meaning they found money, or the ones that go into, I think I got 4 appointments that are going. I got 4 that are either second or closing. So there's, just because of things that have come up, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a couple people that caught COVID, so they couldn't. They're quarantined for 14 days and blah blah blah. But I'll tell you what. In today's day and time, I'm a marketer, and I always have been a marketer.
Mm-hmm.
But marketing Social Security, it's fun because not many people know it. Your banker doesn't. Your CPA doesn't. Your trust lawyer probably doesn't. I mean, only about 10% of advisors do. It's something that makes you stand out and makes you unique. And is it easy to learn? No, I'm not going to say it's easy, but I'll tell you right now, having somebody guide you through and give you there's a great book out there. I think it's the absolute Bible of Social Security. We make sure that you get that, you read that, you have all the attachments. I mean, having someone work with you, someone you can call for anytime you got a question, it's a pretty neat service that that IAMS, Insurance Agency Marketing Services, allows your clients, your producers to be able to have.
Yeah, and you think it's 3 to 4 weeks probably from not a lot of knowledge to having 85% of what you need to answer most clients' questions?
Yeah, here's what happens is you coach for the 2 marketing programs are 3 coaching sessions. The a la carte, where you pay the $800, it's 4 sessions. So I will say in a month's time, and you've got to put in about 5-6 hours a week for 4 weeks of reading the book, reading the handouts. I mean, there's some work to it. You got to go back to a little bit of school again, but it's like grade school. I mean, this isn't like this is a master's degree. I mean, you just got to put the time in. And then you know what, Steve? You've got enough information that you can go into appointments. Once you have 10 Social Security appointments, all of a sudden they're asking you questions and you're doing the research and making sure all of a sudden it's repetitive, then you really understand it. But it takes you between 3 and 4 weeks. You're right, 3 and 4 weeks to get the basics so you can go in and really learn the trade. Yep.
How many calls do you get a week from? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve.
How many calls do you get a week from folks that you've trained in the past with questions that have come up from clients that they're not able to answer, some help that they need on the Social Security claiming software?
1 to 2 a day. 1 to 2 a day. I probably go in, like yesterday. I had two different people. One was through this guy up in New York, Andy, and then I had actually 3, because I had 2 by email that had questions, and I email back the answer. Yeah. So I would say, it isn't like I've got 10 a day. No, I don't. I probably have, in a week, I probably have 5 to 7 in the 5 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But you know what? How nice is it to go to someone and just get your answer? And you know what? I had one
Today,
yesterday.
that's
I had
awesome.
one. I had one yesterday. I knew the answer, but I thought, just to make sure. So I went up on the government website, and so then through the POMS manual. No, this was actually through the government website. It was through SocialSecurity.com, and then I copied it, pasted it, and showed him exactly what it was. Yeah.
Hmm.
It
Yep.
took me about 2 minutes to do it. Yep. Yep.
So why you still do it? I mean, if you now you can do those seminars and you feel like, and I think we have to assume that that was a stellar result. I mean, you just
Well, I'm almost
can't
embarrassed to
count on
say it
that.
because
Yeah, yeah.
cause that was the most. I mean, in a public workshop, if I got 21, I'd be just like jumping up and down with joy.
Hmm.
So if I can get, we need to have 10 or more appointments. If we
First.
can get 10,
Hmm.
just for that, because we don't have in public workshops we normally do 2 nights. Here we just do one time. You want one specific time, you
Hmm.
know. So yeah.
Yep.
So
10 appointments. Yeah. But on your radio right now, I mean, you're getting 4, 5, 6 appointments a week, right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty wild. I mean, it's pretty. The Retirement Boss Radio. I mean, I was always averaging 2 to 3 appointments, and we're averaging 4 to 5 appointments a week right now. The pandemic, and we talked about, Steve. We were talking about marketing yesterday. What's working, what's not, why
Hmm.
it's working, why it's not, and we both agreed that radio. First of all, you can't catch the COVID through radio. You can they can listen to you, they can
Hmm.
learn. I had a weird thing. This is the truth. My son, and I told this to you, Steve, but I'll mention it to the people. My son, he's 28 years old. Sam, good kid. I shouldn't call him a kid. A good young adult, and he's been in the paper business ever since college. Okay, and he's a reporter, and he's actually an online news reporter for about 5 papers. He works out of the Omaha area, Council Bluffs, Iowa, and he went out actually. He called, and it was on a person in Council Bluffs that he did. He still writes that he did an article on, and Sam said, yeah, just send that to S Pimper at, and he says Pimper. He said, are you relation to Dave Pimper? And Sam said, oh yeah, that's my dad. He goes, I listen to him every Sunday at 12 o'clock. He said, I love that his mom's 97 years old and still talks about her. Well, see, so building a brand.
Hmm.
Now, has that guy come in yet? No. But when you're talking in 1,000+ people or 2,000+ people are listening to you, they get to be a connection. No different than people get a connection with maybe Dave Ramsey or Rush Limbaugh or
Hmm.
Sean Hannity. I mean, they get to be a connection. No, it's been good, Steve, and it's been good
Yeah.
for, as you
Yep.
know, for a lot of a
Supervisors.
lot
Yeah.
of the agents. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and I know that with Social Security is one of your major uh, subject matters that draws probably the most attention because you can kind of tell on the radio. You say, hey, if you have interest in, and then you can kind of see what people call for what. Is Social Security, you think, the number one reason that people call from your radio show right now?
No, I think it's just financial planning and retirement planning in general is probably about 65-70%. But for a single topic, I think Social Security is by far. It's probably 35% of my business comes from Social Security. When you talk about retirement planning, there could be 401k rollovers, in-service non-hardship withdrawals, could be SEPs, could be simples, could be that you said something about income planning. I mean, there's a whole grouping of things. But for one subject, no, there's nothing that stands up to Social Security as far as lead generation.
Yep.
And that's why we've elected. Again, you and I have talked behind the scenes on this. We've elected really to hit home on Social Security because someone who Steve, the people who really know Social Security and they know how to market, it's a pretty tough duo to miss on
Yeah, pretty
production.
tough combination. Yeah, I would agree. Well, we should probably. So, if I know most of you had answered on the poll, and yes, thank you for that. For those of you that haven't answered yet, so if you get yes on that poll, you get a call from the girls. Now, set up an appointment with Dave, and you can talk about any of these subjects that you want to. Obviously, if you just want some Social Security training, that's great. Dave can make that happen. If you would rather talk about radio or digital workshops or even workshops, we have some guys still doing some face-to-face workshops with success.
Yep,
So
yep,
if that's
you're
something you
right.
want to talk about, we can certainly, that might be based on your area more than anything else, but any of these subjects can come up. And Dave, I would be the one to mention this. Dave probably wouldn't, but every time that somebody spends a little time with Dave on the phone, you're going to get a nugget or two that's going to be helpful for you, whether you decide to go forward with any of that. And I think that's it's nice when you're out there producing and trying to figure things out. It's nice to have, you can talk with me if you want. I can tell you what other producers say, but it's every once in a while nice to talk to somebody that's doing just what you do, and you know, mention your challenge that you might have. And Dave is that person. So if you haven't set up your appointment to have a call with Dave, I would do so. I think you get some value out of that. Probably be the best 15 to 20 minutes that you ever spend on the phone with somebody. I would recommend that highly. On the other hand, if nothing that we've talked about today is of interest, if you're good with your marketing and feel good about your Social Security knowledge and just tuned in to kind of see what other people are doing, that's great too. Just put no on that poll. I appreciate that as well. I'm going to leave that poll up for a minute while we just kind of close up here. Dave, is there anything that you want to add to what we've talked about? We talked about radio, we talked about digital workshop, we talked about Social Security claiming. Anything that you're doing right now in your business that you think is working particularly well that might benefit the group here today?
You know what, Steve? I'll tell you what I think is key right now. Something we really haven't talked specifically today, but it's not easy working through a pandemic like right now. It's pretty tough when things, I mean, are being locked down, or it's harder to meet people face to face, and you can get from an attitude. You can wake up with a negative attitude, and years ago, um, oh gosh, what's Zig Ziglar? He always said, being in sales, you don't need to have stinking thinking, and I'll tell you right now, that happens. It's easy to get into a rut of, oh my gosh, I'll start this after the first of the year. I'll start this once COVID's and I'll start it once there's a vaccination. I can promise you, there's people right now, including Dave Pimper, and you know this from just production coming on in, Steve. We were talking about production yesterday. I mean, it's amazingly strong with the people who are still marketing, the people who are contacting clients, the people who are still asking for referrals, doing the same thing they've always done. Don't let the pandemic, don't let the times get you down. And there's nothing. And I've done this I've been in sales for 50 years. I mean, my dad got me when I was between my 16th and 17th year. When I was a junior in high school, my dad got me in car sales. He owned a car dealership. My grandpa owned a car dealership. I mean, think about that. 16 years old and I'm selling cars, and I just had my driver's license that year.
Right.
And what happens is I've been in sales virtually my entire life, and one of the things I've always had going for me is I've always had appointments. I've always had people to talk to, but the attitude is extremely important. And so I will tell you right now, keep the chin up. There is nothing that makes a salesperson feel better when you write business and there's commission in your pocket. Nothing. So you know what? If that's not happening to you on a weekly basis, then we need to talk. We need to mark yes, and maybe we can help you get out of that rut. If a rut continues, it turns into a grave. That's the worst thing that can happen to a salesperson. So I would say attitude. Hopefully, I can help them with that also.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great stuff. I would agree with that. I look at our guys that are doing regular business, and I'm like, man, how does that happen? What, how are they doing that? And getting in front of people, every one of them is finding a way to get in front of people. And might it be just on the phone, or might it be with, as Port Chaps, you and I have talked about those. Yep. There's just that's creative exactly right. ways to do business
in one way or another. And you know what? Yep. We're talking about Social Security, but you've got, we're not going to talk about it now, but there are 4 or 5 other marketing programs that you guys have. Curtis Hawks has got some neat things going right now. So yep. your firm, if people are getting in front of people or Zooming or with prospects on the phone, that eventually business, and that's the only way you make money. IAMS makes money is by production. And so that's why that's one of the key neat things about IAMS. I mean, they're really trying to help that producer produce.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I had a nice conversation with one of our guys yesterday, just along those same lines. And he was like, gosh, there's just, there's so many things that have happened that have been, helped me understand that there's other things that I can do. He's a seminar guy. And he said, there's other things that I can do even after I can do seminars again. I'm going to keep doing these other things because
Uh,
it's good to have multiple pipelines. And of course, you are a master of that, knowing understanding that you got to have different ways that you meet prospects and get in front of people and different things that you offer. And that, if nothing else, that would be a great reason to have a good 10, 15-minute conversation with Dave and just see what he's doing and what his team's doing there to keep the business flowing.
You bet. Well, listen, thank you everybody today we went a little bit over time, but we appreciate it on a Friday, and would love to talk to you, give you some ideas, and maybe I can help you down the road. That'd be a great thing.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time as well, Dave. We're going to do everything we can to help you do your business and get it where you want it to be. So give us a call here at the office at 800-255-5055. We'll get you with Dave, or we'll get you with sales director. We'll help you with your advertising, get you some appointments. We can do that as well. There's ways that we can do a lot of different things to help you with your business. So I hope you'll take advantage of us and give us a call. And if we don't talk today, have a great weekend. And if we don't talk before Thanksgiving, have a great Thanksgiving as well. Looking forward to helping you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.